right, so we are back after the live stream.
Yeah, what I was saying is that you start to lose the locker room when you're starting with the fans on the sidelines. And I said coming into this season, losing Leslie Frazier to taking a year off to retirement or whatever he's doing, the defensive coordinator for the Bills, was going to be detrimental to that team. It's not just Stephon Diggs being taken out on third downs. I have no idea why that's happening. I really don't.
It happened quite a bit, and the announcers were really, really leaning on that.
100%. And it's not just Trayvon Diggs or tweeting out that he needs to get his cousin out of there or anything like that. It's not the offense that's falling apart, but you've got defensive linemen that are supposed to be the leaders that are arguing on the sidelines. This is the beginning of the end for Buffalo, I feel, man. You can't come back from this. You're 6-6. You have not. You mentioned there's too many teams that leapfrog, and you've already lost to these teams, all of them.
Well, and if you look at their remaining schedule, and like I know Miami was on it, and I'm quite certain either Kansas City or San Francisco. And I can't remember which one, but either one of those teams is a loss to me. They're not going to. The only game, and if you're looking at the schedule, you'll see in a second. The only game that I noticed that they're going to be favored in is they have a game against the Patriots.
Chiefs, Cowboys, Chargers, Pats, and they end the season off with the Dolphins.
So that's what, like, they might luck out, and that game might not mean anything to the Dolphins, I guess. But outside of that, are they going to be favored in any of those games outside of the Patriots game? Yeah. And Bill Belichick knows how to scheme to shut down Josh Allen.
The Chargers are just so, like, what are they, 4-7 now?
They're so bad.
Yeah.
Like, but
how does he have a job still?
So
Frank Reich got fired. It is what it is.
Yeah, Frank Reich gets fired because he seemed disinterested.
Did you hear what came out today about this?
This is the most unwanted job, I think, in all of professional sports. That owner has fired 3 coaches and 2 MLS coaches in the 5 years that he's owned both franchises, and none of them have lasted longer than 2.5 seasons.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go and play for this guy.
But did you hear this? How the whole staff wanted CJ.
Oh, yeah, I already knew that.
Well, first off, I think the whole world wanted CJ over Bryce.
Yeah.
Temper
pushed Bryce Young, and then
they came out and then you fire the whole staff? Bro, this is on you.
Yeah, so they fired Deuce Staley, Josh McCown, and Frank Reich today.
The funniest line I think I
heard
was...
And all 3 don't have jobs tomorrow.
Yes.
The funniest line I thought I saw, though, was, look at Frank Reich. How tall is he? He's 6'4". He didn't want a 5'10" quarterback. He knows he can be 6'3" or taller to be successful in this league. But, just yesterday, the Titans played Carolina, and Will Levis shaking hands with Bryce Young at the end of the game, and you're going, like, hit the guy's... Bryce Young's arm is as big as mine. Like, how are you an NFL quarterback at 5'10" and looking like that?
5'10" generous.
Just a unit.
Yeah. And then you got somebody like God's gift to earth and Will Levis, who's built like a Greek god next to him, is 6'4". How was one a second-round quarterback that was first overall that got traded 5 picks for?
Right. And that's the other problem is right now they hold the first overall pick and they traded it for Bryce Young.
But it's the most unwanted job in all of sport. You've got the first-round pick, you've got a decent amount of cap room, but then you have no draft capital. How are you supposed to come into that team and put your stamp on it without pissing the owner off at the same time? Because you're going to lose 5 games.
I'll tell you the name that is out there, and it's going to be the biggest name, and people talk about this every year, and it's supposed to be Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah. Or Saban. I heard Saban, too.
There's no way Saban's leaving.
That David Tepper was going to line that man's pockets with as much money as he possibly can.
Saban is a college coach.
Yeah, I agree with you.
He's also 75 years old.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The idea that I read was he's going to put as much money in his pockets to come there for 1 to 2 years. With the idea is you bring your team and your system here. You retire here, you become an upper echelon GM or whatever you want to look over this team, and your system is still in place, so you know the ins and the outs of the entire organization.
Well, I mean, it sounds nice, but you can't just bring your team with you.
Well, it's coaching staff. I mean, I don't think a team of coaches.
As much as Tommy Reese has a future in coaching, he's not ready to go be an OC.
Oh, hell no.
He's not going to be the head coach of Alabama.
Yeah, and that's the other.
Tommy Reese is kind of a Josh McCown, isn't he? Like, when you look at them, like they're not going to be. I don't think one any better than the other one.
I think McCown played a few years in the NFL at least.
Well, like 15 different teams.
Yeah, so that's I don't know. I would have taken that as a backup. He made a lot of money too.
He's versatile, right?
Yeah. So
he had a couple offenses already.
If we're thinking of all of that, the Bills right now sit at 6-6 with 5 games left. I see the best they can do is 3-2, in my opinion. And if they're 3-2, that puts them at 9-8 to end the season. 9-8 doesn't get you in the playoffs in the East. 10-7 might not get you in the playoffs in the AFC.
Yeah, unless you're in the NFC South. It's the only way you're gonna make the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. And like I definitely have
There's
NFC
like
on here
three
too.
teams in the South right now making noise.
We're talking about the
NFC South.
NFC.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like I think that the Browns are in a little bit of trouble because even their backup quarterback is getting his ass whipped. And
Was that roughing the passer? Come on.
100%.
Okay, thank you.
100%.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about the Browns' backup quarterback though? I think he brings more life than Deshaun Watson does.
I love him.
Yeah.
I think he's actually going to be the franchise quarterback, and I think they lucked out getting that man in the draft. There was a lot of scouts that liked that kid a lot. It was just the fact that he played in UCLA against zero competition and needed to learn the pro system a little bit
And
better.
the other knock against him was Chip Kelly was his coach.
That's it. They need to learn the pro system, right? But you know what? I could have watched a little bit more UCLA games this year because they've been fun to watch. And as sporadic and spread out as Chip Kelly's offense was at Oregon, it's not nearly as crazy as it was. I think that he's kind of taken his time in the NFL that he had that 1 year or whatever, and kind of poke some brains a little bit to see how else he can make his system a little bit better and more diverse.
Yeah, and we talk about college coaches going to the NFL. I don't think that there's going to be a whole lot of those transitions going on, and the Chip Kelly experiments are. I mean, that's one of them. Who was the guy that was the coach before Frank Wright?
In Carolina,
Yeah.
is Matt Rule.
Matt Rule, another guy. Like you throw a whole bunch of money at a guy that can recruit. You can't recruit in the NFL, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, you don't have an unlimited bank in free agency, and the guys that you want, the most talented guys, don't become free agents. So it doesn't really matter. So unless you can recognize talent from afar, then you're going to be in bad shape. And how did you feel about the Texans and Jags game? I mean, that's obviously a game that's near and dear to your heart. Did you think that the Jags are just significantly better?
No.
You think that the Texans are there?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you think both teams are like middle of the pack teams then, or is
I keep coming back to the fact that Jacksonville has won the free agency period 9 out of 10 years. Like they spend the most money. At some point that has got to hit, right? Now, there's a big loss that they had to their offensive line now. Cam Robinson, who's their offensive tackle there, that's going to be big.
Yeah.
Like, I know firsthand what it's like to lose a left tackle and what you're going to have to do about it. That being said, Houston isn't winning because of the team. They're winning because of 3 players, right? They're winning because of C.J. Stroud. They're winning because of Tank Dell. And they're winning because that, what's the tight end there? I can't remember, Dalton Schultz.
And their defense is awesome.
As a whole, as a unit, they're playing very, very. Like, there's nobody on their team that scares me on defense, but as a whole, they certainly play well, right?
They got some guys on defense that'll be like household names pretty soon.
Yeah.
There's another Tutty.
South is just putting on a clinic at this point.
Nice.
That's amazing.
And
It's the best thing for us.
Yeah. I'm excited for them. Like, of the teams that are in the AFC South, I don't mind cheering for Houston and saying like it's cool to see, because I probably
like a little brother kind of thing.
Well, Jacksonville's the little brother, but I just think that Houston has done it right. That over the years they've built the team through the draft, or they've stuck by players the right way, whereas Jackson just spends. I think that's all they do.
Does Houston fade, or do they have playoff team this year?
I think they can be a playoff team. Again, quarterback can do it all. We all wanted C.J. Stroud, right? Like, let's be realistic, right? So we know what kind of a difference maker he can be. And that scramble around throw that you took for a touchdown that he had in yesterday's game against a very stout defense is very telling. Like, he can do it against anybody. He's done it against everybody.
How worried are you for the future of the AFC South, though, knowing you're going to play now 2 really good teams? Like, I'm not saying I should say really good. 2 on the way up team, trending teams. Mm-hmm. I actually think you guys are going up as well.
I think we had the chance in the offseason because of all the cap room that we have.
But now what's going to happen? Like, now you have franchise quarterbacks that you got to play every year.
I'll come down to it. I'm excited for it, right? NFC South showdowns before were boring as shit. Let's be realistic. I enjoyed
David Garrard versus Steve McNair.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching games when we got to play interconference or interdivision games against somebody else because it was way more fun. But now to say that next year I'm going to be able to see Levis play against C.J. Stroud and Trevor Lawrence and whatever Anthony Richardson could bring, I'm not bought into that guy at all yet, but whatever he can bring to the table as well, that makes for a fun division. I'd much rather have that. And at the end of the season, you're only going to be sharper, more chiseled by the end of the year by playing those tougher teams, right?
And what about the Broncos and the Colts? I mean, are both of those teams just kind of hanging around because they're there? Or are either one of those teams legitimate teams to make a playoff wildcard run.
I don't think the Colts are. We're gonna sit here and say Gardner Minshew's gonna get you guys another wild
Well, I'm
card.
asking you.
And if he does, no.
I'm saying you guys. I'm not a Colts fan.
Yeah.
No, but no, I don't think that they don't have enough to make noise. I think that Denver's making noise because the temperature change. We're coming to the time of year right now where they can play in the cold and they're okay with it. They just had a dome team come to them and they were able to get a W, right?
They played the Browns.
Okay.
But yeah, same idea. But basically, what they did was they bullied the quarterback.
Well, the Broncos won 5 in a row.
Yeah.
Like that's a
And
scary.
not only
team.
have they won 5 in a row, they let like 40 points or 50 points and then 40 points. And since then, I think they've let no more than like 25.
They gave up 70 to the
Yeah.
Dolphins.
That's right, yeah, 70.
So you wash that out.
Yeah. But but since then, like those first 2 games were the shit, and then they've been completely different ever since then.
Yeah, and I think that they have some pieces. I mean, Russell Wilson's not a bad quarterback. He's showing he has a little bit left in him still. But overall, do you think that the Broncos? So right now they're 5-5 and they've won 5 in a row.
6-5 now.
6-5, sorry. So without knowing their schedule, you probably know that they play Kansas City at least one more time.
Play Oklahoma or Vegas one more time.
Right.
I don't think Vegas is that bad.
I agree. So if you're 6-5 and you've already won 5 in a row, what's a realistic number to win in a row?
I gotta see who they're playing still.
Yeah, so I mean, and this is kind of what I'm leaning to. And this is kind of what I'm talking about when I was talking about it today.
They go Chargers, Lions, Pats, Chargers, Raiders.
Okay, so they're done with Kansas City. So call it a split with the Chargers. They lose to the Lions.
Oh, and they have the Texans. Sorry.
And they lose to the Texans probably. So they're gonna go 2-3 down the stretch. So
8-10 or 8-9. Sorry.
So they're not in. What about the Colts?
They play the Titans this week.
Yeah, and I mean that's a division game, so that's always tough. So you never know how something like that goes, and South's in again.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Good for them.
St. Mary's doesn't have warming jackets, so as the game goes on, they're just gonna run slower and slower.
Titans, Bengals, Steelers, Falcons, Raiders, and Texans for the Colts. I'm telling, that's just a recipe for disaster. All of that is. Especially that last game when you're playing against Houston to finish out your season, and that's probably going to be a win and in.
So you're both AFC's going to kill itself. They're going to cancel each other.
But then I'll say this very nonchalantly: in the AFC, who gives a shit? There's nobody in the AFC that's really scaring me this year.
And that's the thing, right? You just got to get into the dance. So
yeah.
As a Steelers fan, we go Cardinals, Patriots, Bengals again, Seahawks, Ravens on week 18.
It's like the second coming, the whole way of quarterbacks there. Everybody was either second string or coming back from a major injury.
I guess we'd say the Ravens in Seattle, your 2 toughest games.
So I don't think they'll be I think that they'll be the underdogs against Seattle, and it really depends on Baltimore's standing, because right now they have a game up on us, but we beat them. So they have to lose a game and to like kind of level the playing field a little bit. But if they have a 2-game lead and there's no standing on the line, and most likely they're not going to be playing for the first overall seed. They're most likely not going to be playing anybody. So we're looking at another Steelers, Ravens, Tyler Huntley edition, which has been the norm on the second half of the last 3 seasons.
I got called back.
So tough break.
NFC though.
NFC, yeah,
I
agree.
On the AFC, you guys are on the AFC.
No, but I have lots of NFC here too. So
I said, who gives a shit? I think it's one of the NFC. Like that's the conference. To
so
watch
we have 3 spots left in the NFC, and 2 of them are wild card, and 1 of them is a division. So the NFC South is separated by 1 game, with the exception of Carolina. So if you start to break down, Atlanta's leading that division right now because they just beat the Saints. The Saints are second. Bucks are third. I don't think the standings right now mean anything. If there's going to be a team that gets in under 500, it's coming out of that division. Like at 8 and 9 teams.
2 years in a row, baby.
Yeah, so if we're looking at an 8 and 9 division winner,
the best of the worst. That's how you get it.
What does the Bucks schedule look like? Because I actually have the Bucks winning that division.
The Bucks.
Yeah.
Really, definitely not going to be the Saints. Their offense has been absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
So we got the Panthers this week.
Okay, that's a dub.
Then we go to Atlanta.
Okay, that's important. You guys probably won't be favored, but it's important.
We go to Green Bay, which sucks.
Yeah.
Jacksonville comes to us on Christmas Eve.
Okay.
Saints come to us, and then we end the season at the Panthers.
Okay, so I see 3 wins in there.
Yeah.
So
it's only 7 wins.
ugh.
Which is exactly what I said Baker Mayfield would do for us.
Yeah.
If we go back, I said he's going to win 7 games and knock us out of the top 10 draft spot.
Yeah, so I guess hearing that makes me think maybe Atlanta's going to win that division. But
Yeah, I think
Unless
so.
we can steal the game in Green Bay, which I don't think we will.
you got to steal the game in Atlanta. So if you can steal the game in Atlanta, get the 2 against the Panthers, and then
Steal the game in Green Bay. Or in New Orleans. Because we win if we
the
go
New Orleans one, I think would probably matter a little bit more.
Yeah,
You're not
think
fighting for
about it.
a
We have 1, 2, 3. We have 4 divisional games left. We have to go 3 in one of those games.
Yeah.
We have to either steal the Falcons or steal the Saints.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to line me up behind Baker Mayfield, Desmond Ritter, or Derek Carr, I'm going to stand behind Baker Mayfield.
And he hasn't played bad this year.
As far as I know, he's the only person in your division with a playoff win. Unless Derek Carr's won a playoff game. So I don't think that happened.
No, it's just that Baker actually hasn't played bad.
Yeah. And then, so if we're looking at, if we look at the division, we see it that way. It's pretty obvious that the Cowboys are going to be the top wild card.
Yeah, so whoever gets the AFC South gets the Cowboys round.
Yeah, so not exactly like a treat. But then there's 2 wild card spots left. And you got Vikings, Seahawks, Packers, Rams, and to a lesser extent, the Saints. And I guess in that you would also kind of bracket, say, Falcons, because they're all 5 and 6 and 6 and 5.
I'm calling the Saints dead.
Okay, Saints are dead.
They're dead. Derek Carr has
Saints
10 touchdowns on the year with a $150 million contract. Dead. Dead.
Rams.
I like the Rams.
And I like the Vikings.
So
there's some about Josh Dobbs.
Well, Josh Dobbs is cool and everything, but that Green Bay team getting Rasul Douglas back right now, Jordan Love is turning into A-Rod overnight, man. Those lasers he's throwing and the way he's running. He has been playing fucking well.
Yeah.
I think the Green Bay team is getting better because the receivers are getting a little bit more experience. And they have a lot of really talented young receivers. I don't know if the Packers and the Rams play each other, but if they played each other, I think the winner of that game gets in. And then I'm going to say the Seahawks get in because I'm going to trust Geno Smith over Josh Dobbs. I love the story, but there's a reason that this guy was the backup for Pittsburgh for 4 years. And he was the backup in Cleveland. He was the backup in Tennessee. The backup.
We started in Tennessee after 3 days because he had to. Then he was
so we had the Rams go Browns next week.
Okay.
At home. They go to Baltimore, so that's tough.
Ooh.
They have Washington at home. Saints at home. Go to the Giants. Finish with the 49ers. The 49ers should be cleaned up by then.
Right.
In theory, the 49ers should have that wrapped up.
Yeah, the Rams might have that's a tough stretch. I mean, I think that is it in LA or in Cleveland?
The Browns are coming to LA.
Okay, so that's better for the LA offense, the LA run game. The LA run game looked really good, and they were incredibly productive.
Quarterback for St. Mary's just got slammed.
He might have just
broke his collarbone. I think Andre just broke his collarbone. Yeah,
poor kid. Yeah, I think the Seahawks are one of the teams, and I think.
That's not good. That's not good.
No.
That poor kid's family is watching from 8 hours away.
The Vikings' issue is they have the Lions twice.
And Josh Dobbs is their starting quarterback. So I love the idea of Josh Dobbs.
But he's also done this without JJ. If Justin Jefferson's in the game and he's been able to do what he's done without Justin Jefferson, it's you and I could play quarterback with Justin Jefferson, man.
So,
whoa.
So
we'll ask Bryce Young.
Where it's different is right now they're running the offense to the open receiver. Wait until he starts missing a shot or two at Justin Jefferson. How does Justin Jefferson react to that?
How do you miss shots to Justin Jefferson? His wingspan is so big.
Ask Stephon Diggs.
You are not.
I'm not being an asshole. You know I'm not.
Well, but what? I don't know. But that's not even the same quarterback.
You're not even.
If Stephon Diggs has problems with Josh Allen, you're telling me Justin Jefferson's not going to have an issue with Joshua Dobbs?
Well, I think that we've also not seen Josh Allen in the last 3 weeks give Stephon Diggs the opportunity to make a play on the ball.
The guy's in the league in fucking receptions.
It seems like the coaches don't really want him around.
That's what I mean. They're not making a play on the like, give him a chance to make a play, to throw the ball up and then make a play on it, right? Like what happened in the Minnesota New Orleans game. Throw the ball up. I know there's a shitty odd play that happens, but throw it up and let it happen. Josh Dobbs is going to throw the ball to Justin Jefferson. Right?
Yeah. I had one more question for you guys, and then we're gonna get out of here. We can all agree Brandon Staley's getting fired. If not today, then by the end of the year. There's two other coaches that I had in mind that might get let go. One is Belichick, but he would resign. Two is Mike Vrabel.
You've been reading too much media, man.
Todd Bowles, come on. Fire that loser.
Diana Rossini already came out with a report. He's not going anywhere. And Diana Rossini is, just so you know,
I don't even know who that is.
She's the athletic reporter.
Okay.
Her ear is to Mike Vrabel. So when all the reports were coming out about Derrick Henry maybe being traded and all that jazz, okay, that came from Adam Schefter. Okay. From what we understand as Titans fans, Adam Schefter is talking to Rand Carthon, the GM, and Diana Rossini talks directly to Mike Vrabel, who's the coach. Now, that doesn't sound good on the outside looking in, okay, but if Vrabes is the one I feel who's making the calls, I think right now in Tennessee land, if he says his seat isn't warm, then I believe him.
He wouldn't fire himself.
Well,
could you imagine?
Yeah, I think Rand Carthon was brought in strictly for his scouting ability, what he did in San Francisco. Okay. And his first draft wasn't too bad, so I think that's it. Player personnel, you do your thing, but I'm not going to start running the team.
All right, well, I mean, he's earned a little bit of a leash. He's done more with less. So I was curious on what you thought of that because I saw it. Any final thoughts before we roll out of here?
This was a really small tire pump for you and Matt Canada being gone in the first week. I can't believe you didn't bring that up at all. We'll have to save it for next week.
We can talk about it off camera. I have lots of insight.
Let's see if there's 2 weeks in a row of Steelers offense, huh?
It's coming. Anyway, we'll see everybody next week, and take care.